I just haven't in a while.
Nice. I know you golf, but then you said you've given up for a bit.
Yeah, it's hard to get out for that long when I got all these new startup things going on.
Yeah, I hear you. But that's so like you talk about that like purpose is kind of like that esoteric thing people are always talking about, chasing.
Yeah.
What spurs you along to want more startups? Like at this point, it feels like, you could diversify your assets to places where, you're good month to month and probably could live your life sustainably, but you're still going. Like
I'm bored, man. I get bored easy. I like randomness.
Yeah.
Besides my marriage. I've been married 20 plus years, but I like to be random.
How many years?
Man. 20 and a half.
20 and a half, so just over 20.
Yeah, so I like the variety. I get bored easy. I don't like to do the same thing over and over again.
It's a lot of entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I guess. But, it is.
At least I feel that way.
What is important, though, to focus on what you have in front of you. One thing I did before was I dispersed myself across too much at one time, and then I'm not giving it my all. You know? So now I'm focused on the agency, and inside that agency doing things inside the agency or under that one brand. This is the brand that we started. Under that brand, and then making sure everything aligns with that brand.
That one?
Yeah.
Love that. The branding is sick.
Thank you.
Did someone make that for you? Did you make that?
Well, I had the idea, and then I had a logo guy I always go to for my logos.
Sure.
And he gives me like 5 options, and 4 of them always suck every time, but there's always one that's like, holy shit.
Yeah, that's it.
Am I allowed to cuss on here?
Yeah, you can go for it.
Like, holy shit. Like that's it.
We live?
I like that one.
Cool.
Yeah, so I like that one. And then I'll go with it. But this dude's awesome.
Love that. Well, break it down real quick for those who don't know you, Mike Ciorrocco. Just give me the lineage, if you wouldn't mind. Last like 10 years, like what's it been like being you?
Last 10 years.
Break it down.
2013.
Clock starts now. 60 seconds.
2013. We were 2 years into starting our mortgage business and starting to get some momentum. And while the whole time though, the money was starting to come in, I was like, oh, this is great. The money's good, but I hated doing what I was doing. And subconsciously when you hate it, but you don't really want to admit it, it was kind of like that.
It's like the golden handcuffs type deal.
Well, yeah. And it was like the people that I was surrounding myself with, no disrespect to anybody, but they were more producing versus being aligned with our mission and goals and our foundation. So I did that the wrong way. And I was chasing production versus alignment.
Yeah.
And then so I would come home and I would feel it, And so, but I got conflicted because the money was good.
Pop the mic a little bit more in front of you.
Yeah.
Keeps one. Is it?
Yeah. No. It was good. I was conflicted because the money was good, right? And I always thought I'm supposed to provide, but I was not fulfilled, and I was confused by that. So that's what happened over the last 10 years, I would say, and I was trying to search and find my way. And I guess over the last 10 years is when I was in my late 30s into my 40s, and then I guess we go through this thing where like, who am I? So over the last 10 years, I've been on a journey of trying to figure out who I am. And the versus identifying with what I did. And a lot of people, and I've interviewed over 600 people on my show now, and a lot of people that had problems in their life, the most challenging times was when they identified with what they did, their vehicle to get to their mission versus who they were. And identifying as their, what they did as their vehicle versus, instead.
Say that again.
So most people identify with what they do versus who they are, all right? And when they do that, when that thing that they identify with crashes or crumbles or have the setback or whatever, they lose their identity. This happens with a lot of athletes, right? A lot of professional athletes, college athletes, people that put their heart and soul into what they're doing. They identify with what they do, and it's a dead end street, man. You always come crashing down, and then you have to find yourself. You might as well find yourself now. So I talk a lot about this, like, who are you? And so I was doing that. And that's where that one brand came from, because it's all centered around finding out who you are and then being that one and then leaning into it unapologetically. And then finding vehicles to serve your mission. Because finding out who you are, you identify your mission. And then when you got your mission out in front of you, okay, what vehicles can I use to get to that mission, to get to that final goal? And so that's what it's about. Over the last 10 years, I've been identifying that.
Where do you identify that line, though? I know I've struggled with, hey, this makes money. This is fun. And a lot of people, and I know I've been stuck there of like, hey, like, this makes the money. It's not the funnest thing in the world, but where do you kind of draw that line? Because I feel a lot of people, myself included, been in those spaces of like, yes, I know this isn't the lifelong passion. But I still got to buy groceries.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the line is, first of all, when you start making money, you don't want to increase your lifestyle based on the money you're making. You want to try to keep your lifestyle, and this goes out to all the youngsters out there. Keep your lifestyle as low as you can while you're building until you find that passion that you can make that money at. Because we have to make money, and you have to do some stuff you don't want to do until you get to that point. But life is way too short to stay in that condition too long. And so for me, it's like, hey, make the money where you can make the money while you're figuring out your passion and what your purpose is and what you want to be doing, what vehicle you want to take to your mission, and keep your lifestyle as in check as possible. And then from there, like, go find that passion that you can make money at, you know? Because, like, listen, there's nothing worse than, like, you could be doing something you don't want to do and not make money. That's bad. But I think it's even worse to be making good money doing something you hate.
Jeez.
Because it traps you.
It does. That's the golden handcuffs. The golden handcuffs.
Yeah.
How many people, especially in like today's day and age, you think are stuck in that?
Oh, shit. Most of them. Wouldn't you agree? I mean,
yeah.
I think that's why we, like, as a country, the emotional tone level of the country is really low. Most people wake up in the morning.
Like right now, exactly. Like specifically, right?
If you wake up and hate a Monday, then you
the rest of the week is jacked up.
Yeah. You hate a Monday. I love Mondays. Mondays are my favorite day of the week. I don't like Sundays. I don't like sitting there with, listen, don't get me wrong. I love spending time with my family.
Yeah.
But I don't like waiting on a Sunday for everybody else to be ready to do some business. I hate that. So I'm ready to go because I love what I do now.
I love it.
So, but I think most of the people in the world, in the country, and that's why we have problems, man.
Why is that right now, though? Like,
it's always been like that, really.
I agree. It's always been like that, but I feel specifically, and it sounds like you may too, that like right now and over the last couple of years, it's increased in the amount of negativity, not mental health awareness. There's definitely been more of that, but mental health issues, people really struggling.
Yeah, I guess it's gotten worse because here's the thing. The people in power, and mostly it's the money people, corporate, big pharma.
People north of...
They want divisiveness, right?
The rich men north of Richmond.
Yeah, they want divisiveness because when they have divisiveness, there's more opportunity for them to provide solutions that can make money off of, like drugs, right? And different government programs, what have you. But what happens is people in power, prison systems, which aren't rehabilitative. They're more punitive.
Oh,
right?
I worked there for a year. Absolutely.
Yeah. So when you have that, like, you need to cause divisiveness and you need mental health problems. You need people to be low emotionally because they're going to be in more destructive mode versus constructive mode. And if we could get everybody in the society up here vibrating at a high vibration, you wouldn't need government as much. You wouldn't need jail systems. You wouldn't need drugs. You wouldn't need therapists and psychiatrists and all that. You wouldn't need it. And there's a way to do that. If you get about 20 to 25% of the population vibrating in a higher vibration, it'll spread. But you can't do that right now because it's not wanted. So lately it has been worse.
For the person that hears you say vibration and they're like, that's just a setting.
Some of the women get excited when I say that.
I was going to say it's a setting for my cell phone. But
what are you going in that direction?
You can take that whatever, but a lot of people may hear that and be like, I don't know, what the hell are you talking about? What do you mean by vibration?
Yeah, so everything's energy. Yeah. Okay, this isn't woo-woo stuff anymore. I study quantum physics, quantum resonance. Everything is energy and things are on a vibration. Right? And vibration or wavelength determines whether it's good or bad, right? Good is something that's going to take something and build upon it and be creative and constructive, and bad is destructive, right? So when you talk about vibration, you're talking about frequency, and frequency is the length of time between wavelength, right? And the quicker a wave comes, that's a higher frequency, and that's going to be more constructive, more happy, more excitement, exhilaration. And when you're talking about lower, it's lower wavelengths or longer wavelengths.
Yeah, slower,
heavier. And so when I talk about, I forget what the question was exactly, but when I talk about vibration is something that's vibrating fast. That's a higher frequency, right? And that's good.
I agree. I've looked into all this, and it still sounds really woo-woo though to anybody who's not dove into it. I feel there's a lot of people.
Well, because they're programmed, bro. Like, people are programmed not to believe the things that work.
That's fair.
There's secrets, right? The Secret, the movie was even called The Secret, right?
Oh, yeah.
The Secret. the people in power that need divisiveness and need people to be held down do not want you to know that. I practice it. Listen. So
how do you practice it?
Well, first of all, I believe in God, and I pray, and I think God's given us these abilities, and that's why God is targeted so often, and the people that believe in God are so targeted so often is because they don't want you to understand the power that we've been given as human beings. All right, it's not woo-woo stuff. Science is starting to back this up. Quantum physics actually aligns with spirituality. Okay, and when these two come together and people start to realize this, the people in power start to panic. Drug companies start to panic. That's why they hamper this down. That's why they create this era of merchants of chaos. They need chaos to survive. People in power. So, at the end of the day, what I do is I wake up in the morning. I pray. First thing I say when I wake up, open my eyes is thank you. Like another day, right? We don't know how many days we have, right? Yeah. Thank you. Another day to make a difference and make an impact. And then I pray for things that I want in my life. After gratitude, I pray for what I want. And then when I do that, I also go really through the emotions that I'm going to feel when I get those outcomes, right? Because it's not really the outcomes we want. It's the feeling that we want from those outcomes.
Absolutely.
So we can feel that now. Might as well feel it now. And then what that does to your body and your physiology is you actually start to feel like you already have what you were wanting. And then it just comes to you. Because we don't get what we desire and what we want, what we're chasing. If we chase something, it runs from us. Mm-hmm. We get what we start to feel like. And so I realized this from studying these things. And so I start to do it. And all of a sudden, like I can't tell you how many times this happens when I'm really dialed in. I'm not always dialed in with it because life starts to pull you away from it. But if I'm always dialed in as much as possible, money starts just flowing. And I'm like, where does this come from? Like, I don't even feel like I did the work for it, honestly. And when I feel contrast to that, when I'm working hard and busting my ass, it feels like the money's like so hard to get. So I believe in it. I'll practice it. If people don't believe in it, that's not my problem. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to get ahead of you. If you want to think woo woo and all this, I will get ahead of you.
And there's a lot of people that came up in households where it was either a specific religion that demonized that, or parents just don't care about spiritual teaching or anything like that, and you got to figure it out. Another thing that's come up in the last few years is just a lot more people, I think, are looking deeper in the spirituality and finding what you're talking about.
Yeah.
We're all connected. Mm-hmm. It's all energy. You have direct control over, I've just read a book or audible the book.
I just listen to a book.
I'll listen to a book.
So many people say, I've read all these books. Like, did you really read them or did you just listen to them while you're at the gym?
My bookcase is empty. My Audible collection's deep, though. As a man thinketh, everything in your present day reality is a reflection of what you've already created in your thoughts.
Yep. Yeah.
It's like, dang.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and Think and Grow Rich, you don't even need the book.
It's the same. Yeah.
You don't need to read the book. The title tells you think and grow rich. Now, thinking is one of the hardest things to do. People don't realize this. When you start to think about something, here's an example. You lose your keys. Now, don't make fun of me to my face. You know where you put your keys because you're the one to put them there. And it's up here somewhere. But when you start to think, first thing you say to yourself is, oh, man, I lost my keys. Okay, if you say that, you lost your keys, right? And if you say, I can't remember where I put my keys, guess what's going to happen? You're not going to remember where you put your keys. But then when you try to reverse that, the first effort to that is like, let me think about this. Where did I put my keys? It starts to actually feel like energy has to be expended to do that. And it's harder actually to do that than run a mile.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why people give up. Yeah. They give up so quick and then they can't find their keys until they run into them. When if you just start thinking and lean into, I'm not giving up. I didn't lose my keys. I know where I put them. Where's the last place I was? And you start thinking and putting things together, you find them. But people give up. And then they say that out loud. I lost my keys. I can't remember where I put my keys. And then they're lost. You get what you think. You get what you say. It's a fact. You can believe it or not believe it. That ain't my problem. But yeah, so.
If you don't believe it though, why is it so tough to believe?
It's not.
Yeah,
I just said it's tough to believe, right?
I believe. I don't think it's so much about belief. I think, like you said, science.
But you just said, why is it so tough to believe? Mm-hmm. I don't know that it's tough to believe. I'm not
exactly.
Agree to that.
100%. Yes.
And it's so crazy because, like, when I was little, I think my grandmother, my mom, they used to say these things like, hey, don't say that. Don't say you can't, this and that. And I was like, Jesus,
Roll your
parents,
eyes.
just your parents saying something, right? But it's really powerful. It really is powerful. And none of us are perfect with it. So I catch myself all the time. I don't say the word try. I'm going to try to do this. I'm trying to do that, because try gives you an out to not be able to, not to accomplish it. You're trying. I say I am, or I'm doing this. This is what we're doing, right? This is the outcome we're going to have. Not, we're going to try for this. Like, I just don't believe in operating that way.
What was the switch that hit for you? You think that changed that? Like, was there ever
results from it, man? Like, I would hear it.
Well, before that, but you got results from it, so something made you think, I need to shift things. I need to try something different. Well, what was the pin on the timeline?
Well, I had mentorship, very good mentorship, and shout out to Richard Dolan. Rich he worked with Grant for a while in Grant's licensing thing, but prior to that, Rich is a money merchant banker, investor, money guy. And he also is a performance coach, performance expert, worked with Mike Tyson, the Lakers, the Heat, LeBron James, many others. And I've spent 3 hours a week for 3 years with this guy. And he was talking all the time about causing and creating futures. And I'm just listening to him like, causing and creating futures. What does that mean? Causing and creating futures is basically creating an attraction model that pulls things into you that you want. But you cause and create. Cause and create means control. Okay, that means I have to take responsibility for my future. So I started putting these formulas together, and I started thinking to myself, okay, here's how it works. Intention is what you commit to. Like, what are my intentions? Okay, my intentions are my commitments. So I'm going to write those down. All right. Then what I intend to do is what I pay attention to. What you pay attention to becomes validated and into existence in your universe. Right. And so I learned this from him, listening to him. He didn't explain it exactly this way, but I started interpreting this way, my own interpretation of it. And so what I realized is that if I don't create my intentions, or we don't create our own intentions, we are going to follow an intention, but it's not going to be ours if we don't do our own. And then, which most people, we were talking about earlier, most people are living in this life of it's just like a cycle, a loop of, I don't know, unfulfillment. It's because they're living the intentions of someone else. They're not causing and creating their own future. So I realized that. So I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm not going to live off of someone else's determination. I'm going to be intentional. So I started being intentional. I started paying attention to different things aligned with the intention, and I started causing and creating my universe. See, this universe we all live in is a similar universe. However, like, you can build your own, because what you pay attention to is what matters. Now, the stuff that's going on in the Middle East right now, I don't even, like, if I wasn't watching the news and I didn't talk to anybody about it, it wouldn't even be happening in my world. But because I pay attention to it, it brings it into my universe. Mm-hmm. So I started realizing these things, and I'm like, well, if I have a choice of that and I've seen it happen, I want to cause and create the way I want to do it. So if I want to come up to a podcast, Zach reaches out to me, I could just ignore Zach, or I can be like, yeah, no, that's a cool thing. Let me enter that into my universe. I make a decision, intention, and now I'm here, right? But if I just delete the email, delete the text or whatever, it just stays out. I reject it. So we can build and cause and create our own universe. I started realizing that, seeing the power of it. And then I just decided that's just the way I want to live.
Sounds like the universe is a simulation.
Well, I mean, I guess you can call it whatever you want.
Codable and programmable.
Really? Yeah. Oh, it's absolutely programmable. I mean, wouldn't you rather live a life where you designed it the way you wanted it, and then you actually created an attraction model to track what you want into it versus chasing things? It's a decision. So I decided to live that way. And all of a sudden things start flowing in my world. And then, I talk about getting into film and TV, and all of a sudden I'm in Hollywood. This is an example. So I write my intentions down. I have no idea, like, sometimes how it comes to me. I believe God gives you these little hints. I start writing it down, and I'm like, well, how the hell am I ever going to be an actor in front of a camera? And I never went to acting school. I'm 40-some years old. I could say all these things, right? I don't do that. I don't question. I just write it down. All of a sudden, I end up in Hollywood for another reason. I'm sitting at a table. Somebody called me and said, hey, we have a spot at this fundraising dinner. Somebody paid $25,000 for the seat. They can't make it. It's open. You want to come? I'm like, hell yeah. So I sit down at this table, and this is an example of how this stuff starts to happen. To my left, there's a lady, and she's filling me in on who's who at the table. It's like 25, 30 people. Long table. And this guy sits to my right. He's cool. I'm talking to him. I don't know who he is. and his wife sit next to him. And this lady goes, that guy's a screenwriter or a writer for TV shows like Power and Empire, and he knows Dr. Dre and all these people and this and that. And he's like a really cool dude, nice. And I didn't know who the hell he was. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. And his wife's an actress. She's been in 2.5 Men, some other movies, this and that. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I hear this voice while this lady's talking to me, and I recognize this voice. And I'm like, look, there was some older lady sitting at the end of the table. And she goes, you know that voice? And I'm like, no. Well, I mean, I know who it is, but I can't, put a name on it. She goes, that's the lady that does the voice of The Simpsons, Nancy Cartwright. And I was like, holy shit, man. I'm sitting at a table with these people. Like, how does this happen? Like, out of the blue. Like, I didn't plan for that necessarily, but I did by writing what I wanted to do down. So now I'm connected with all these people because I'm at this dinner. It's $25,000. I didn't have to pay. This is the amazing part about this stuff. I didn't have to pay my own money, $25,000 to sit at that table. How does that happen? How do you end up at a table that would cost $25,000 that I wasn't at that time in a position to put $25,000 into something like that, but I still ended up there sitting at the table with people that are recognizable and iconic, right? Now I have these connections in my network. So now it's just like the pieces are coming together, forming. I run into other Hollywood producers, executive producers, writers, all these things just start to appear in my life. And it's just proof that it works. Now, I don't know where it's all going to go, but I just know for a fact that if I keep being intentional and writing that down, it'll just shape itself.
Have faith and trust in it because it's worked before, so it's going to work again.
Yeah,
that's where the faith comes in with it, though, because you gotta trust that it's going to happen again. You're not crazy. It's not just because I think it's easy to fall into the trap of, well, I worked really damn hard. Maybe it was me, maybe.
Yeah.
And you said earlier, and I wanted to stop you, but you're on a roll. You said earlier the decision you make, the choice you make to choose your universe.
Yeah.
I think just a lot of people wake up and think they don't have that choice. Because obviously, if you just make the choice for a day, 3 days, even a week, you may feel a little, but your life's not going to look drastically different if you wake up and start meditating after 32 years of toxicity and not doing anything for yourself.
Right.
But after 3 months, you're going to start to see a noticeable difference. After 3 years, you're a whole different person.
100%. But it doesn't just happen like...
It doesn't.
It's a gradual thing so that you kind of ease into it. Another thing I think about with this is that when we have kids, my son's 17 right now. He's 6 foot, 240.
Jeez.
And I remember when he was a little guy, but he doesn't jump from an 8-year-old kid to a 17-year-old kid.
Feels like it.
Well, no, but it does, and time went by fast, but it doesn't happen like that because it would be too traumatic for you to lose your kid. That little boy, right? If he like this immediately turned into a 17-year-old like man, you'd be traumatized because it'd be like somebody took your kid. But it gradually happens. Now, it does seem like time goes fast, but it gradually happens so that you don't have a trauma. You don't have a, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but like something that's going to like shock you. Right? Yeah. It's the same thing with manifestation and creating and causing your future is that it gradually happens because if you go from being in a toxic, state or, not very wealthy and not successful and all of a sudden, boom, you're successful.
You're not going to
traumatize you. Even if it's good, it traumatizes you. This is proven with lottery winners. How many lottery winners, their lives are ruined?
I know it's tons.
You can't have something happen like that and it be good.
Yeah.
It's got to be gradual. And this is the way manifestation works. It's the way causing and creating your future works. And because I think also there's some appreciation that has to take place where if it just happened like that, you're not going to appreciate it.
No, I've told people, I was the guy that would always get the cheat code for the video game. Like, especially like back in the day, get the Game Shark, plug it in.
AB, whatever.
Down,
do you remember that?
Yep.
Yeah, Control.
Every time I did, it was fun for like 30 minutes. You unlock everything. You got all the powers. You got all the experience, all the money, whatever it is. And then it's just like, okay, cool. There's nothing left to do. I might as well start the game over. Mm-hmm. Everyone wants it perfect. Everyone wants it great. Everyone wants their life figured out. Now. But that would be boring. Yeah. You'd have it and you'd be like, okay, I'm in shape. I got money. My relationships are great. All my businesses are successful. What do I do today?
Yep.
There's no fulfillment because there was no journey.
Randomity.
Yeah.
You need randomness.
Oh, is randomity?
Well, it's a word that's like, yeah, you need some randomity in your
Is
life.
that a word?
Variety. Yeah.
It's variety and randomness.
I just made it up.
It's variety and randomness,
Yeah.
randomity.
Yeah, think about it though.
You do.
Because,
and you need to feel like you earned something.
Well, it's like riding up Route 1, right? It's straight.
Is it?
Isn't it the worst road to drive on? There's nothing really to look at out on Coastal Highway. Like you're going to the beach, it's like straight. There's no hills. There's no curves.
There is that spot just past Dewey. It's just like nothing until Bethany. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And the point is that like a straight highway with no curves, no hills, nothing to look at on the side of the road. The worst roads to drive on.
Yeah.
It's just like life. If you're driving on a road that's curvy, hilly, go to the mountains. I was in Tennessee with my family like a couple months ago, and we were driving on these mountain roads. There's no guardrail, and it was like exciting. It was nerve wracking a little, but it was definitely not boring. So it's the same thing with life.
It is the same thing. Well, with life specifically too, we want it all without working for any of it. A lot of us, we don't want to put ourselves in those uncomfortable situations to see how am I going to talk to myself. And how am I going to get over that inner bitch in my head that's going to tell me to stay in bed, that's going to tell me to eat like shit, that's going to tell me not to go to the gym. It's the same voice all the time. Like, how am I going to beat him?
Yep.
And if I don't beat him from the start of the day, he's going to beat me all day.
Yep.
And if I let him beat me that day and I let it happen 100%. Again, it's just that, like you said, it's that choice.
Yep.
And sometimes you can get weeks, months, years into every morning making the same choices, led you to the same place you're in. And I think it's really hard for that person to let go and say, this isn't the life that I want. So clearly I didn't choose this. Life's happening to me. And so it makes it really hard to let go and start saying, okay, I can make the life I design. Because you have to let go and basically say, I put myself here. I put myself
responsibility.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Taking responsibility over
you
where
can
you're
say
at.
it's hard if you want to, and you're going to find out it's hard. Like,
You're right. I'm empathetic
that,
toward that person because you wake up and you see 15 years, 30 years, 3 years of, I could have been, doing this. Like they say, the best time to plant a tree is, today. It's difficult in a lot of people's minds. And a lot of you do got me thinking about it.
Wait a minute, but here's the thing. Like, I don't want to, like, to me, I think I've been given ability. We've all been given this some kind of ability, right? And I don't want to waste the opportunity. I don't want to waste what I've been given.
I have a really good ability for that ring toss game they got at like restaurants.
Yeah, you do?
I kill it.
You have to do that. You do like the...
Oh yeah, I curve it around and everything. Ask Sean. That ring toss game is my shit.
Yeah, okay.
That's my thing. And then Georgia, I had a video on Instagram. It was like 3 weeks ago. I think I posted it. She just walked up, grabbed it, did it go. I was like, yeah, it's DNA, sweet.
Yeah.
But about normal stuff. Keep going, my bad.
Yeah, no. I don't even know what I was saying, but yeah.
Like I was about to say, it's difficult to get up and make that initial first step, I guess, into taking responsibility over your life because you can just sit in your shit. The shit's comfortable. It's always been what it's been.
Is it comfortable though, really?
Yeah, I think if you've been there for a long time, comfort.
Man, I tell you, man, like to me, when I start leaning into that part and making easy decisions, life becomes harder.
Sure, it's choosing your heart.
So to me, life is hard if you do that. But to me, like, you said choose your heart. Like, I want to lean into sacrifice now.
Yeah.
Work out hard now.
Yep.
Watch what you eat now. Because I want an easier life, but easier life really comes with it's to me is a challenging life. Because to me, like if I wake up every day, when I have no appointments on my calendar, that's hard for me.
The worst.
Destruction comes in because boredom. Like I'm gonna go, hey, have drinks somewhere. I'm gonna go gamble somewhere. I'm gonna sit and watch TV. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, what do you do when you don't have appointments?
Yeah, I diddle around and try to find work, and inevitably usually
feels
don't.
Terrible. That's hard to me.
Feels awful.
That's hard.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, but it's choosing your heart.
Yeah.
Because I think it is comfortable to sit in your shit. It's not satisfying and your head sucks.
Yeah.
But physically it's comfortable to lay in bed.
Not for me, bro.
Hit that alarm.
Not
Come
for
on,
me.
you know it
No,
is.
it's
It's
not.
comfortable.
No.
But not to say that comfort's good long term. That comfort's not
agree.
good long term.
I really don't. For me, man, personally, like I can't do it. Like, you know what feels comfortable to me is after I bust my ass throughout the day. Not physical hard work. Like I'm not even needing to do that. But I mean, intentional, focused energy.
Yeah.
And then laying down and watching a show with my wife at night.
Absolutely.
That's comfortable.
Because you earned it.
When I wake up in the morning, it's got to go.
Got to go.
I don't like laying.
But you earned it.
Yeah.
It's
but
really
it doesn't
hard
feel comfortable laying in bed, bro.
Absolutely.
Like in the morning.
I get it.
I mean, even though it was cold this morning, because we had like a little freezing temperatures.
We were
like,
in a cold.
I'm not staying in this bed. I'm gonna as soon as I woke up, I'm like, but you know, it also could be 2 a.m. why it's not comfortable for me, because I'm a little older than you, and when you get up in the morning and you first wake up and you have this feeling in your stomach, like this cramp, you're like, oh, I can't take a deep breath. It's because you got to take a piss. Because you get older, you know? Yeah. So you got to get up and go. I can't lay there because my stomach hurts, so I got to get up. No, I don't know. Maybe
that's probably it. That's probably actually the big difference.
Maybe it is.
I love my bed. When I wake up in the morning, I'm fighting that inner voice every single morning. I tell you, and this morning, we were up as like 5:20 and drove up to North Dover from Milford, and we cold plunged, me, Sean, Patrick.
Well, that's probably why you don't want to get up, because you know you got a cold plunge.
You're damn right.
It makes it a lot harder. It wasn't because I was coming up here, because you should have hopped out of bed, because I was
absolutely. I was hyped, man. I had to get, and then we went sauna, gym, the whole deal. Yeah, once I was on the sauna, I was taking notes. I was like doing the whole deal, but did some Wim Hof breathing. But I love knocking out all the tough stuff in the morning, because it makes this so much easier.
Well, you wouldn't do it probably as like consistent if you waited to the afternoon or evening.
Absolutely.
I hate, the gym like thing. If I don't do it in the morning, get it over with. I actually like going to the gym in the afternoon and the evening. I like it when I get there, but it's hard to get there
consistently.
So I just go in the morning, like you said.
What do you like about the afternoon better? Like the evening? I
don't know. Like, I think I'm in the morning time. I'm still not all the way there mentally.
Okay.
So I think I don't even realize I'm at the gym, and when I'm done my workout in the morning, like I forget about it.
Sure.
Did I work out this morning? Yeah, sure I did. But I think I remember what I'm, more, and I'm more present in the evening.
I do like a late night workout. Mm-hmm. I think I got that from the Army though.
Yeah.
Just that late.
Yeah, maybe.
Night, get out of the barracks 11:30 at night. Yeah. What's next for you, dude? I know.
That's a good question.
You were in the mortgage industry. You got super close, tight up in the Grant Cardone system world. Now you got pretty much you hit the reset button on all that. You got out of the mortgage world. You're still licensed. Wife is in real estate. And now you're in the agency world. How's that switch been? Yeah,
I mean, I love it. I already did what I'm doing. I'm still currently doing what I'm helping other people do now. Mm-hmm. We've gotten basically 4 years ago, I'll tell you this real quick. I realized that the mortgage industry wasn't what I wanted to do the rest of my life. So I had to plan some kind of exit strategy. That exit strategy entailed me developing a personal brand and getting known globally. And I committed to that. And I said, you know what? As I was doing that, I'm like, how big do I want to go with this? And I was watching the news and I saw aliens and UFOs, and the government was actually recognizing that there was UFOs. And I'm like, I don't know if there's aliens, but if there is, let's get the aliens to know who I am and what I'm doing. Like mind expansion exercise, right? And so when I did that, I didn't know how the hell I was going to do that. But all of a sudden,
so when you're writing down your goals, was there a time where you wrote down, I need the aliens to know my brand?
Know who I am. Yeah.
What would they pay you in? Would they pay in Bitcoin?
I don't care. It wasn't even about the money. I just wanted them to know who I am. So they had oh, this dude's going to be a problem. That's what they should say when they come here. Oh shit, this
guy must be their leader.
We can take over the United States because Biden's in control and all that.
Jeez.
No disrespect to Delaware here, but
he's Delaware born. I might get him on the podcast,
man.
That's
a good thing about him. That's the one good thing about him. Or maybe it's not the good thing for us. I don't know. Nonetheless, not to get political.
No, dude. It's been a terrible 4 years.
It's just a mindset thing to think about, like, if the aliens came around, dude, this guy's going to be a problem for us. Right. And so that mind expansion allowed me to really get creative. Started asking questions. How am I going to do this? Some guy invited me on his podcast, Chris Donaldson. And he asked me like 3 times. I'm like, dude, I don't even know what a podcast is. I don't have all the equipment. I don't even know. No, I'm not doing that. But also being vulnerable here, I also didn't think I was, even though I've made plenty of money, been successful in business, I didn't like, who am I to be interviewed? That's what I was thinking. Eventually I went on his show. And as I was on his show, I had all these cognitions happen, like these aha moments, these bursts, like, holy shit, I see what Grant Cardone did, Gary Vee did. They do podcasting, and then they do a lot of it. They have unlimited amount of content. They repurpose it. They put it on TikTok, Reels, all this stuff, YouTube Shorts. And when they do that, then they become omnipresent to the people that matter in their business. Like Grant talks about being known by 8 billion people. That doesn't do you any good. What in business, what matters is that you're omnipresent, meaning that you're everywhere to the people that matter in your business.
Absolutely.
Right? So that could be 5 people. That could be 5,000 people. It could be 5 million, but it's not 8 billion. So I realized that if I take content and repurpose it, I can have control over putting it in front of the people that matter in my business. and then making sure that they think I'm omnipresent. They see me everywhere, to the point where they'll go over, knock on their neighbor's door and say, hey, do you know C-Roc? You know the C-Roc. And the neighbor doesn't know who I am, because the neighbor doesn't matter to my business. But they can't believe their neighbor doesn't know who I am.
Because you're omnipresent to them.
This is the kind of thing I started thinking about. And I was like, holy cow, I can lean into this. This isn't that hard. I just need to get on more podcasts. So Google search optimization, if somebody's going to do business with you and you are interviewed a bunch of times and somebody going to do business with Zach, they're going to look up Zach's name on Google and it's going to see Zach interviewed so many times. Your credibility and authority go through the roof. Content that, and then networking. Podcast hosts are some of the most connected people on the planet. You build your network out from that. I'm like, dude, this is a home run. So I started searching for people to book me on shows, right? And I found a guy, and his name's Todd, and that's the guy I was telling you about, before the show. Todd would book me on shows, and I would just say yes to everything. It didn't even matter the genre, because I just wanted the content and the connection. And so I didn't worry about the audience of the show. That was all icing on the cake. I didn't care what level the show was. I was the first guest on so many people's podcasts, because to me, it's like great opportunity to be in, help that person out. Content, it's a home run.
And if it takes off, everyone goes back to the first one.
Yeah, well, that too. But then you've had the show before, and I've been on your show before. So this isn't for you what I'm about to say, but there's people that start a show, right? And it's their first episode ever, and they're just looking for guests. Anybody. I just need a guest. Imagine what you are in that person's heart and their eyes if you say yes to them and you have some success and you're not just a brand new guest, right?
You're a hero.
Exactly. So I was looking at all this and I'm like, I'm leaning into this. So Todd started booking me. I did like 300, 400 shows, started my own show. And then I created this blueprint of how to leverage that attention. And I started thinking to myself, well, if I can do this for myself, I can help other people do this, because I needed it. I know there's other people that need it. So that's where we started That One Agency. And from there, I'm going to continue to expand into this. But then I also started thinking to myself, well, shoot, NIL deals are coming now. College kids, high school kids can get paid brand deals now, right? Yep. This is in its infancy. Who needs to understand how to become marketable? Just like entrepreneurs, athletes. So now, since I love athletics, I love being around high school athletes. I love watching football, college. I have an Ole Miss hat on right now. I've been going down to Ole Miss watching SEC football games.
Yes, sir.
Amazing environment.
Oh, incredible.
I'm like,
in the South, football is a religion down there.
Yeah, exactly. Now I got a passion. I can make money at it. I'm going to figure this out. I want to make these athletes more marketable so that they can get brand deals easier. So now we're going to expand into that area now. So asking what's next, that's the focus next, and keeping scaling the podcast niche.
Are you encouraging the athletes to pick up a podcast themselves?
Yeah, I mean, everything that I've done, I want to encourage them. I'm going to show them how to do it.
I've seen some pro athletes where that's been a real the Kelsey situation.
Kelsey brothers, Brandon Marshall.
Brandon Marshall is a good one. Brandon Ayuk. I'm a big 49ers fan.
I'm sorry.
Man, last 3 weeks have been rough, dude. Last three. Yeah. I was sitting here like, man, I'll see y'all in the playoffs.
They were actually thinking that they were going to come and beat the Eagles in the playoffs or something.
Oh, man.
I don't know about that.
Now it's good. We
play in the regular season.
We do, December 3rd. I might go to Xfinity Live for it. The thing about it is, y'all are winning. None of them have been ultra impressive wins. It seems like there's still a couple cogs.
Doesn't matter.
That are win's a win. Yes, there's no pictures on the scorecard.
And here's the thing: like, you got a Delaware podcast here, and you're like claiming 49er
I know.
Legends.
We don't have a football team.
You should but dude,
I'm a UD blue.
We don't have a football team. Philadelphia Eagles.
Blue heads.
The Eagles
are in Philly.
That's
Pennsylvania.
That's Delaware, man.
That's
come
literally
on, man. We're in the Philadelphia
you can't say
Metro
it's Delaware
region.
if it's not Delaware.
So here's the thing: you should just lie and say you're an Eagles fan if you're going to do a Delaware podcast.
I went to the Phillies playoff game. I love that.
Yeah.
Game 1, game 2, that you baseball at all?
I took my daughter to the Braves when we won 10-1, and there was 6 home runs in a game.
Nice.
Yeah, Harper hit 2.
I don't know for the one that we went to, me, Pat, Mark. Geez, there were at least like 6-7 home runs.
What game?
We went to game 1 and game 1, game 2 against the Braves.
Braves, yeah.
Game 2, by the end of it, they were doing the
I was there for that.
It was so disrespectful.
It was awesome.
I loved every moment of it.
And then they were chanting DUI for the one guy that got busted for a DUI.
Yep, the Kelseys were up next to us. Yeah. My boy Patrick was yelling at him.
That's awesome.
The entire time. That's awesome. So, what's the if someone's looking to get involved in the agency on that side? First of all, the name is That One. Can find it on Google.
The number 1, agency.com.
All right.
Or on Instagram at That One.
What's the goal for that? I know you just said the athletic side, but what's the ideal person who's listening to this is like, I need to be a part of your growth pattern. I need to be part of that growth.
Anybody that's an entrepreneur, speaker, coach, has a message, a mission, a brand that they want to get out, they need to be podcasting, period. Start somewhere. Whether you just start booking yourself on podcasts, like by reaching out to people or working with an agency that gets you aligned. Like we set up people up to make them marketable, get them a great one-sheet press kit, coach them into becoming a great guest, and then align them and connect them with aligned podcasts, top 5% and above. And they can just reach out to us and we can work with them. But you got to invest in yourself, man. If you got a business, like you got the studio here, this didn't just happen. You invested in yourself, right? Like people say they want to be something, they want to do something, but they don't invest in themselves. You got to start investing in yourself. And if you come to us, we tell you what order to put things in. Whether you want to grow your Instagram, whether you want to grow your YouTube, whether you want to, become a brand and start podcasting, there's an order that you should be doing things in. If you do it out of order, you're not going to get results. You're going to get frustrated. So we can guide you into that.
Do you think there's a world where podcasting gets, gets into the Facebook Live or MySpace world, gets kind of pushed to the side for something else?
Podcasting?
Yeah.
Nah.
No?
Well, no. I mean, podcasting, there might be spinoffs like social audio. There's going to be...
Clubhouse.
Yeah, absolutely.
You still in there?
Occasionally. It's changed a lot.
I'm sure.
Changed a lot. And there's going to be some new things. This is an infancy stage still, by the way. Social audio. It seems like it's been going for a while and then it died, but it's just getting started. Really.
Where do you think it goes? And Clubhouse, for those who don't know, it was basically a grouping of people getting together and talking about specific
niches. Like chat rooms.
Yeah, just like only audio.
Chat rooms.
There was a minimal like text chat you could use. It was kind of clunky. But dude, I remember like the first month I was in there, it was like Grant Cardone, Jay Shetty, and Wiz Khalifa talking about real estate. I'm like, what is going on? I mean, there's only 80 people here. What's happening?
A lot of celebrities came in.
Big time.
Access to them. And
a huge access, like mastermind level. I mean, when there's only 30 people in the room.
Well, then you had assholes ruining it and coming in and being trolls. And the celebrities were like, I don't need to deal with this anymore.
Well, that's what happens when you have like no face. No like verification process. Yep. Blockchain and things like that could really alter that space for audio to make it so it's verifiable. They're starting to do it with phones.
Yeah.
So they're starting to work that blockchain style. It's not actually blockchain into actually having your phone numbers verified as a residential consumer, your name and everything. Mm-hmm. So you call major carrier to major carrier, it'll pop up whether you have my number or not. Zachary Faust, Loft Realty, checkmark. Mm-hmm. And that's how they're trying to solve this whole robocallers. Because I don't know about you. I get robocalled, spam called all damn day.
Yeah. Well, pay your bills, man. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But no, and going back to the brand, like that one, I just wanted to shout this out to everybody. This is important for everybody to create something like a brand for their personal. And then beyond that, you need to eventually create something that you don't have to be a part of. Because
Talk to me about that, because that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Creating a baby and then knowing that one day that baby is going to leave the house.
Well, see, if you have a mission behind what you're doing, it shouldn't be all about you. And so I could have the C-Roc brand and all that, but if something happens to me or I want to step away or whatever, it doesn't allow for other people to come in and benefit from it. So I wanted to create a brand that I could be around and help and build, but get it going, and then it could just snowball, right? And that one is a movement that I want to create, and a brand I want to create that can be placed on many different industries, and it can be licensed out or whatever. And we have merch at thatonemerch.com, and you can check that out. It's coming out. That site's coming out next week or two. Yeah.
You said thatonemerch.com.
The number one merch.com. Yeah.
Perfection. More into you, dude. What makes you tick? There's a lot of people who are probably hearing this right now. It's just like, man, I don't know where to get started. And this guy's got like life figured out. So,
no, I don't.
And I know you don't got life figured out because I know I don't got life figured out.
I got some things figured out. I do have a leg up. I do have some things figured out. I came from a lot of brokenness, and
that seems like a consistent pattern.
I don't want it to define me as for the outcome. I want it to define me for my motivation and my mission. And I just saw a lot of brokenness and a lot of people just saying things and then living out what they were saying. And I just chose to say success and live out success, man. And I just don't want to be into the drugs and alcohol and depression and, mental issues that people had in my life. I don't want to be around and involved with that. So I choose to create my universe where it's strong, thriving, elevating, and just want to be an elevator. So that's where it all stems from,
I don't even know where to go from that. That's a perfect elevator speech for yourself right there. I want to be an elevator.
I am the elevator.
You are the elevator. What spurred you along to want to do that?
Well, just because the brokenness that I grew up in, I just didn't want to saddle and be around that.
Is there specific brokenness that you point back to like that?
Oh yeah, dude. Like, well, my grandfather said this to me one time. See, my grandmother ended up committing suicide. She was on overprescribed for psychological medications, anxiety, depression medications. And he said to me one time, he's like, look, I made a mistake because when I first met your grandmother, I went to her house and her father handed me an 8-ball. Not an 8-ball. Is that what highball? What do they call it? What do they call it? A glass of whiskey? Wasn't it
a highball?
A highball, not an 8-ball.
Maybe not an 8-ball. It's like he handed you from pool.
You want to play some pool? Or you want to do some coke? No. He handed him a highball, not an 8-ball. And that would even be worse probably. But he realized that this guy's got a drinking problem. Like alcohol's the first thing he hands me. He said that, and he started seeing red flags all over the place. He married my grandmother. She had problems their whole life. And then what happens, and I've been talking to my son about this too, is like, you got to pay attention to who you hang around because you have a choice. He'd made a decision to marry her, which led to not just him having trouble in his life, right? But then they had 4 kids. My 3 uncles. I'm sorry. They had, 5 kids. My mom and 4 brothers. Those kids all were affected by that decision for him to marry a lady that had trouble growing up. Now, I'm not saying that people they've been through things and their parents have issues that they shouldn't have a good life. They need to work on themselves before they get into a marriage. But my grandfather said he made that decision the wrong way and he should have paid attention to that, but he didn't. And that affected the kids all the way down. And then from there, those 5 kids had kids. Their kids are affected by it. Some win, some lose, some go, get out on the wrong road. But it was all because my grandfather made that decision. So I think about that and I tell my son, like, dude, when you're picking a girl, I mean, I just don't want to, you don't need to be a savior. You don't need to save people. Your job is to take care of you, make you the best person you can possibly be, and then go find somebody else that's in that position too, so that we can make this planet a better place.
And now people are going to look back in their timeline at you when your grandpa and great-grandpa and be like, when grandpa...
Decisions you make.
Yeah, when grandpa C-Roc went back and didn't take the 8-ball at the party.
Right. No 8-ball for me, thank you. No.
That's the toughest part, man. It's just understanding that to have a good life, it's got to start with just like those baseline, seemingly meaningless choices.
Whoa. This comes full circle though, bro.
Yeah, of course.
Like we talked about in the beginning, what? Intention.
Yeah.
What's your intention? My grandfather didn't have an intention.
Sure.
A clear intention, right? Who knows what his intent, like it wasn't his decision because I know for a fact that if you really asked a question and you knew you're in control, what is your intention if you can control it? I'm sure he would want to have a great family. So the great family intention would not have led to that decision.
What do you think did?
Probably feeling like he had to get married, feeling like he was maybe, a lot of people when they search for relationships are looking for companionship. They're lonely. They feel like they got to hurry up and get into a family, some kind of stability. And then they overlook the foundation to create that.
Do you think that's happening less or more now? People rushing into marriage?
Oh, actually, marriage is less now. I think, right? Marriages are down. I don't think that's a good thing, but I think it's better than rushing into something and getting a divorce and causing more problems. But I think the problem now is that people aren't getting married and then they're skipping that step and they're just having kids without that. And having relationships without that, which there's no foundation there. So it's going to lead to dark places, man. You need a foundation, whether you believe in God or whatever. You need some kind of principles to live off of, some kind of core values and vision to live off of. Because what that does for you is it gives you like a direction of how to make decisions.
A compass.
Yeah, well, compass. Yeah. So when I'm making a decision, I want to be able to make it quick. It's either going towards or away, building or destroying. Most people don't have that compass, and then they're making decisions, and it takes forever to get this decision, or they're stuck in a maybe.
Yeah,
indecision. It's
like in like Army training, they do this thing called land navigation, and the map you had, this topographical map, was only as good as you knowing where you were at on the map. You didn't know
what direction you're facing.
Yeah, if you didn't know where you're at and which direction you're facing, the map is pointless.
Yep.
The compass is almost pointless.
Yep.
So if you aren't, that self-awareness factor really comes
100%.
into play.
Yeah.
Is there a blip on the map where you feel like, hey, this shifted for me? Was there a book? Was there a mentor? I know you'd mentioned the one mentor, but.
Catalytic moments, basically. I think there's been many of them. I think there's been many. I mean, I could look back at all different points in my life where things changed, or where I changed my thoughts, changed direction, grew myself. It just depends. I mean, I've talked about many of them already, but let me think. The most recent one. The most recent one was, basically a decision in April to just let my branches close, pass it on,
mortgage branches,
and move on, and let go of the banana, so to speak, and just move on, so I can focus and not be held back on what I was going to do going forward, even though that was uncomfortable.
Would you do it again?
Yeah. I mean, I probably would have did it sooner.
What do you think about the mortgage industry right now? Now that you're out of it, you seem to get out of it.
Here's the thing. So let's talk about this for a second. So there was a case that just happened the other day, right?
Yes, NAR versus DOJ,
and they got hit with 1.5 some billion.
Yes,
NAR and many of the
big brands,
right? Zillow just bought Follow Up Boss.
Correct.
Okay, so if you start putting these things together, and I'm not trying to piss anybody off, but I'm trying to warn people. I already saw this in the mortgage business with AI and technology coming out. Loan officers are going to be replaced. Rocket Mortgage, you can pretty much go on there now and you don't need a loan officer. Okay. That will happen eventually. Okay. I saw that. And even though I didn't like being in the mortgage business anymore too, I saw that too. That added to the decision. Real estate agents, I hate to tell you this, but you will be replaced by technology, by it just won't be as needed anymore. And I'm open to the argument, but I can see this so clearly. And this decision, what they're talking about, is based on the buyer's commission fee, right? And people feel forced into paying that, and they don't feel like they have a choice. And so it's kind of like they have a monopoly on it in a way, right? Or trust. So what's happening is that people are going to start to realize that technology is going to come out where it's going to allow them to save a lot of money. Consumers are going to be the ones to decide this. And they're going to be like, well, I don't need an agent. I don't have to pay 3 to 6% on this. I can just do it this way. I'm going to go this route. And they're going to migrate over here. And real estate agents, there may still be some space for some specialty for people that need really more hands-on, but it's going to shrink the industry majorly. And now's the time for real estate agents to start thinking about, okay, what happens if this does happen? Like, plan now. Start diversifying and creating other opportunities for yourself. Because if you don't and you wait till you get caught with your pants down, it's going to be miserable.
Yeah. And I think right now the person that's getting hit the hardest is the buyer's agent. And with that case especially, if your focus, like, I love working with first-time home buyers. Like, that's great. That's so nice and more. I love you. But it's probably the first thing in our world that's going to go away. The listing side is going to be what lasts the longest. And more than likely that person is going to take both sides. It'll be a smaller amount that they're taking.
Well, but think about this, though. If Zillow is leaning into something and they get Follow Up Boss, why did they get Follow Up Boss?
Data.
Right. But you agents and us mortgage people gave Zillow all the data they have.
Sure, yeah.
How many times did you pay Zillow?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not only did you give them data, but you paid them. And supported their building of taking us all out.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
They build a perfect system.
And so if they're doing that, there's going to be other companies that are going to come and try to do it better than them.
Sure.
So listing houses even can go to technology.
It can do a point. Because at the end of the day, the technology can't be the human in between somebody entering a home they've never been in, the private property of somebody else. I still think there's going to have to be somebody in the middle. But the Redfin model is interesting because they have the paid agents that are only utilized during specific situations like that. There's that thought process.
But now AI is coming, right? AI is coming, and now AI doesn't. The context is where AI has issues. Human context of understanding, like, when you send a text to someone and they can misinterpret it because they don't understand the context or the emotion behind it.
Sure.
AI is now, Meta is actually, I just saw an article, I don't know, yesterday or the day before. They're creating AI so that it can gain context and understand emotion that comes from the information, which is going to create opportunities now for them to be able to communicate better with consumers like it's a human.
Great. They're going to learn how to be sentient.
And then the humans can take pictures of their own house, or they'll have some kind of technology. I'm just telling you, look, I don't want it to happen for you guys, but my wife's a real estate agent.
I've said it in our team meetings. Us making 6% on a deal is not happening in 5 years. It could be less than that. The average amount's already dropping closer to 5%. And with two sides needing to be a part of the deal, we don't need that anymore. I think it drops down to a 2 and 3% world with one agent doing the majority of the work. And if a team's formatted properly, the agent should really just be in charge of the relationship.
Yep.
Honestly, everything else on the back end should be covered. Everything else in the lead gen area should be covered. And then on the loan side, I couldn't agree more that they're more under fire than that agent because everything's over the computer already.
Well, think about it. So there's a lot of sticky situations in income and tax returns and all that. But now we're going to a situation too where like cash is going away. Mm-hmm. Transactions are really recorded pretty much everywhere now.
Yeah.
So there's going to be AI algorithms that are going to read a borrower and tell you whether you should loan to them or not. Like that. So what do you?
Yeah, imagine like in a broker model where you have 150 different programs, and you can say, "Hey, these are the 3 programs that best match what their intentions are versus what they can qualify for."
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. I still think, the timeline has lender first before agent. Once the lenders go, then as the agent, you start looking. Yep. But the listing agent, I think, has a long time frame just because of that human element and because somebody's entering into someone else's house.
Longer, right?
Longer. But AI is going to take over everything eventually.
But why not? Yeah, everybody that's hearing us right now talk about this is younger than they will be when this happens.
Yeah.
So why not start now? Figuring something out.
Figure out your niche. Figure out your value.
I mean, I'm just giving a little warning. That's all.
What do you think the AI world looks like? Because I'll put it this way: when the world's to the point where somebody is like, I imagine like car salesmen, lenders, realtors, all these different sales positions. There's lots. I don't know what percentage of Americans are in sales, but there's a good amount. When almost all that's driven to AI. A few things have already happened. All administrative tasks have been brought to AI. There are no assistants for the most part. Executive roles, data entry, accountants, paralegals, they're all probably out the door already. So if we're talking about, 30, let's put the number at 30% of jobs directly impacted within the next 5 years, possibly being replaceable by AI. What's the world look like?
So I believe that these folks are going to have to start getting creative and being creators.
You're gonna have to say that again for me.
They're gonna have to get creative.
Creative creators making creations.
They're gonna have to get creative.
Okay.
They're gonna have to be creators of something. Got it. Because and what I mean by that is not like a creator, just content creator. I'm talking about creating some kind of value. Because if they're gonna survive on this planet and not live off the government, they got to create value somehow. So they're gonna have to figure this out, and now's the time to start thinking about that, like being a value creator. Some kind of value, like what's out there right now that's needed that I can provide value to someone. This goes back to being an entrepreneur in general. Is entrepreneurs try to figure out problems to solve, and that's where value is driven, right? Well, that's what they're going to have to do, or they're going to have to go and be valuable to someone that is using them, that has figured out what value or problem they're solving, and that's what's going to happen. You're not going to, I don't know, man. Like it's not a good thing, but AI is growing about 1,000 times the speed of the internet.
Oh my goodness, it's growing fast. I mean, ChatGPT, I don't know what the numbers were, but like the time frame it took Facebook to go number 1, and then TikTok to go number 1, and then ChatGPT. The time frames just keep going like this.
And that'd be a good question to ask AI is like, what do we do now that you're replacing all these different things, AI? Like, what should people do for a living?
Well, how beautiful would it be in a world where like the big humanitarian decisions were made by something that couldn't be paid off, takes all the data into consideration, and can present options that maybe aren't politically driven in some form of like government, like almost a Congress, an advisor that is AI.
But think about it though, AI is basically modeled off of human beings and human intuition and human thinking, right?
Sure.
And
it's using our data,
But human beings are inherently selfish,
yeah,
and evil.
Something that could take
so
that.
How does
that
AI?
Out of
what happens to AI when it starts to become selfish and self-serving?
Damn it.
And not caring about others as much? That's an issue.
I think that's the line.
Yeah,
if we cross that line,
I don't know what that means.
Can you unplug it at that point?
So I always look at this, Zach. I look at, I can't necessarily always create the game that's in front of me, but I can win it.
Yeah,
I can play it the best of my abilities.
Yeah, you can just take every day and win that day.
That's win the game.
Yeah. That's why I look at the game as a day. Because if I start looking 3-7 years, I could pathway in my brain. You give me 2 hits on a blunt, and probably within 7 years of thought, I'm saying, okay, by 2023 or by 2030, we're probably gonna be in that.
I don't know.
It's gonna be just political overthrow.
Or you could go another direction.
Could go another direction. Yeah, absolutely. But I can control today.
Yeah.
I can control this moment. I could probably control a little bit of this week.
Can you really, though?
To an extent. I mean,
You know,
I think
like, I was
everything has
thinking about
happened
that.
into direct reflection on my thoughts. I can control how I react to the life, but the life is what I'm creating.
Yeah,
the people around me, what I'm doing each day. It's a result of.
I'm always thinking about this stuff, dude.
It's crazy.
I'm thinking about, I control my future, create cause.
Well, it goes back
on
to
the other hand, I look at it as like, do I really?
Yeah. Well, that goes back to it's faith.
Yeah.
It's faith, because there is no 100%.
Yeah.
There's those times where you're like, oh yeah, I'm on fire. I create my future. And then there's that 10% of time like, am I the crazy one? Like, am I wasting my time on this? But ultimately, like you said, there's more and more coming out scientifically on the quantum world, on the spiritual world, on how we can read what's actually going on in the brain when you're having like a God experience, and like the pineal gland, and it's contributions to how we connect with God and the universe and energy and vibration. It's all becoming more and more present because we have so much information, like things like TikTok.
The thing that got me was when you're studying quantum and they realize a particle can be two different things.
Two different things at the same time, depending on.
And so you start to realize that, and you're like, okay, wait a minute.
Is it based on whether it's observed?
It could be observed or the viewpoint.
What do you mean by that?
Perspective.
What do you mean by viewpoint? Like perspective
Like,
of how I
let's say the
watch
particle's right here in the middle, and somebody's over here looking at it from here. Somebody's over here looking at it from here. Could be two different things.
They see two different things from the same particle?
Yeah.
Or the particle does something
because
different?
Of the viewpoint.
So their viewpoint sees one thing, their viewpoint sees another.
Yeah, because from this viewpoint, from over here, from the left, you could be looking at that same thing and then using different dimension points. Like, if we're standing in this room and I'm seeing a corner there and a corner there, I'm using those as my reference points.
Sure.
But you even stand here and then you say, well, that's my reference point, this microphone. And you don't even take into consideration that corner over there. The room gets smaller. You created less space.
Yeah.
That could look different. That particle could be something totally different to you. So then I started thinking, okay, if that's the case when it's that small, as we get big in a macro, which we're still small comparatively speaking.
To the universe, yeah.
Yeah, because it's subjective, right? From that point, then I can make anything I want, be anything I want. And I just start thinking weird shit like that. And I start, okay, well, then I just need a different perspective. Based on my perspective, I can make anything I want. That makes that more powerful than intelligence.
Control over your
Perspective.
Because every situation's the same coin, just depending on what side you're looking at.
Yeah, perspective, again, I'll say it again, perspective is more powerful. Being able to control your perspective than intelligence.
I heard someone say, and I still can't source it, if you control the thoughts that go into your brain and the food that goes into your gut, everything else will fall into place. Everything else will get better.
Has a big effect on it.
Because if you don't control those thoughts, everything else that becomes your perspective. You then go into work thinking, oh, everyone was mad at me. No, you walked in with a shitty attitude toward the world, and you saw it.
Yep.
We see. It's like when you go to get a new car. Yeah. It's the easy example. You go to get the new the red Kia, and all of a sudden you drive around and like, oh my God, how many red Kia? Everyone went and got a red Kia just the same day I did. Yep. I think it's a mitochondria in the brain, the reticular activating system that's going through and saying, hey, this is what you need to focus on. When you're,
but remember, it goes back to intention.
Yeah,
is what you pay attention to.
Yeah.
So your intention is the red car. And you start paying attention to red cars, and that's how you cause and create your
programming
universe.
the brain. Just like when you said earlier, you're meditating, you're writing it down, you're putting into your brain, you're giving it the perspective.
Yeah. How many times did you pass a white car on the way here? If I gave you $1 million, right? Seriously, I gave you $1 million. You came within one. Let's say you came within 5 of the accurate number. How many white cars did you pass?
27.
Okay, but you don't know, right?
I have no clue.
Right, but if I told you now, going home today, if you were within 5 of all the white cars that passed within, a lane of you.
Eyesight, yeah.
And I would give you $1 million, you came within 5. Do you think you'd be more accurate?
I'd be a millionaire.
Yeah, and you would see more white cars.
Absolutely.
So like we know that. That's there's no arguing that. So why don't we use that the rest of our life with everything? That goes back to the intention thing.
This has been a great intentional podcast, my friend.
Yeah, man.
And our second one.
Good stuff.
When are we gonna have you in for number 3?
Anytime, man.
2024. Make it happen.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Good job, man.